This is a can't miss episode, and I don't say that very often. Our special guest has over 250,000 followers on TikTok. She is currently traveling the country in an RV wrapped in her brand and her likeness, teaching financial literacy, teaching realtors how to build their personal brand, and teaching home buyers how to purchase their first house. Are you ready to go? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. Originally by way of Las Vegas, Nevada, she currently hails from the great state of Georgia. I have found her traveling the country with her husband and their baby in an RV wrapped in her name and her likeness. She is a mortgage loan origination badass. She is the steward of personal finance, and she can teach the real estate industry a thing or two about their personal brand. She is my new friend from NFM, Jordan Nutter. Jordan, welcome to the Loan Officer Podcast.
Thank you. That was I like that.
That's like WWE style, like you're coming to the ring.
Like I need the belt on. And
yes. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of like our shtick. That's kind of like our thing. So those OG TLOPers who've been tuning in the past 4 years, they've like grown to love that. It's a bit obnoxious. I warned you.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thanks for stopping by. So you were at Disney yesterday.
We were.
Okay.
We were at Disney.
Walk us through this. Because you are a badass on TikTok, right? You crush it.
Thank you.
Right? 260 some thousand followers. You're generating how many leads per month or per year currently?
It's about 100, give or take, leads per month.
Okay, 100 leads a month, like mortgage loan originators, heck, realtors, financial advisors, life insurance sales reps. Are you currently generating 100,000 leads? Let's just stop there. Let alone 100,000 leads for free by having a following on a platform like TikTok. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But you're traveling the country right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't live in Orlando.
I do not. We are just passing through Orlando right now. And this has been, I think we're on like day 50, 57.
Oh, so you're coming up on 2 months.
Yes.
You, your husband, and your 10-month-old daughter.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, she actually just turned a year.
Oh.
Yeah, she did just turn a year.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
Not that she'll remember it, but nonetheless, happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you.
So you're coming up in 2 months. Mm-hmm. Okay, walk me through this. Whose brainchild was it, and what passion is being fueled by this 6-month road trip?
So it's funny. It started very small. This is not how the plan was, not this by any means, and it has very much snowballed. And originally it was, okay, we had to go to California temporarily, and we're going to move back to our home in Georgia. So we'll just take like an extended 2-week vacation-esque to go across, because my husband and I at this point collectively have driven across the country probably 20 times.
Okay.
So
is this him like with his race car hobby that you were doing this? Or?
No, just like when we've moved, or like when he bought a car, he bought his car in Virginia. So yes, that does have to do with his race car hobby. But we were like, let's do a 2-week. And I said, well, I'm licensed in Texas. I have some people I've worked with. I'd really like to meet them. We might as well go to Florida. And then it kind of got bigger and bigger. And I'm like, well, now I'm partnered with First Home IQ, and they teach financial literacy, and that's what I teach on TikTok. So let's make this big, and it's just now gotten into.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to First Home IQ. I wore my First Home IQ.
I like it.
I think founder friend. Yeah, I was like one of the first. Like Dave reached out to me, like, wait a minute, you're doing that? Like, hell yes, because you and I share that passion. I mean, my passion for having the Loan Officer Podcast was nothing about teaching loan officers how to be better loan officers. It was teaching the world everything I learned because I became a mortgage loan originator. Like it's legitimately, pardon my French, but the shit they don't teach us in school.
Right.
And I started following you on TikTok. I'm like, yes, she's doing this as well. She's just way younger and cuter than I am, and way more entertaining to watch. And you do it in 90 seconds. And sometimes it takes me like, 39 minutes to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But what started as you and your husband had to go back to California.
Yep.
Was California, well, let's add in Texas.
Yeah, and then let's add in Florida, and then, now we're not just going to do that. We might as well like add a couple more states, and then it's just been now we're doing essentially a big circle around the country.
What was in California? Was it another race car?
No, my husband's family's from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were just going to go from Atlanta to California to visit family?
Yeah, so we had some family stuff we had to take care of, and then we had we were pregnant at the time, so I was like, oh, your mom would love to have her grandbaby there, and we'll get kind of do two things at once, and it was great. So it was a short-lived time, but we were planning on going back to Atlanta, and now that time has extended even more.
Wow. So you made it to California. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the RV come into play, and where did, hey, let's go ahead and wrap it? Because, okay, if someone wants to see your RV, I know how to find it, but how would they get a picture of the RV? I was hoping you'd show up in it.
Yeah.
By the way, she didn't. Her husband and daughter have the RV.
Yeah.
They're checking into the next campground. Yeah. And Jordan drove the truck over because they're moving from Orlando to Daytona Beach, which is like an hour drive.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't get a chance to see it. I was hoping to get a tour of it. But if people want to see it, how would they see it?
So it makes an appearance on social media, but on the website, which is mobilemortgagemom.com, that has like our schedule of where we're going to be. There's pictures of it. There's video of it. So, that's really where you're going to...
mobilemortgagemom.com.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I cannot do that.
I know.
There's not enough water to keep my whistle wet in order to get that tongue twister out.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the idea then, if your daughter's 1, and you said the idea came about when you were pregnant.
No, she was, this came about probably June of last year, so we just had her.
Okay, you had just had her.
Yeah.
And the need arose to go to California.
Yeah.
You started thinking, well, if we're going to go to California, we're going to take the baby so your mom can spend time with her granddaughter.
We were in California, so we had her there. Yeah, we went to California. We had her there, all of that, and then when we were coming back, we were planning on making our way back to Georgia, and I was like, well, we might as well make a trip going back home. And so that's how we've snowballed into this.
So you're in day, 57, 58?
Something like that, yeah.
How many more months do you plan on going? How many cities have you been to, and how many more do you have to go?
So we've gone from California now to Florida. So we've traveled pretty much across the country. I
heard Texas is like forever to get through.
It is. We spent a lot of time. Texas was probably the same amount of time as we spent here in Florida, because it was Dallas was about a week and Austin was about a week, and then we had like 2 or 3 days in Houston, and then here it was Destin, Tampa, Fort Lauderdale. We did make a road trip to Key West, and then here in Orlando before we go to Daytona. So it's about the same, about 2.5 weeks at each of them.
Okay. And when you're there to work.
Right. So, we try to can we do something while we're there? We went to Disney, obviously, while we're in Orlando, or Key West when we were in Fort Lauderdale. So we're trying to because my husband, the amazing man that he is really taking the bulk of, nobody sees that because he's in the back driving and taking care of the baby and fixing the trailer hitch. He's doing all the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm I can't just have him, he's going to get bored out of his mind. So we are trying to do some other things that are not work related, so he doesn't go crazy.
Yeah, yes. and I saw you've done some cute things from putting him on camera.
Yeah.
I think he went and raided an entire Army Outfitters depot and bought himself a fishing rod and the whole get up.
Yeah, it was a whole day. I'm why do you keep leaving? And it just progressively got worse or better depending on how you look at it. But yeah, he's a trooper, but he's funny. He's just so funny, and I love it. And
it has to be.
He has to be, and he has to have a great sense of humor.
In a good way, he puts up with you. Meaning,
100%.
Anyone who creates content, their spouse behind the scenes is typically laughing, turning their nose up, telling them to hurry up. there is someone else who's being inconvenienced, typically,
right,
because of the content creator,
right.
But they recognize, hey, this is their passion. It's also how they provide for our family.
Right.
Therefore, most times I'll let it slide off my back.
Yeah, so he is not a social media person by any means. Hates it for the most part, obviously, to a certain extent. But for his personal self, he doesn't like social media. But yeah, he's definitely a trooper because I will work because I have to work. I still am a loan officer.
Yes, you are a mortgage loan originator.
Right.
I've pulled your MMI. You're doing $2 to $3 million a month consistently. So congrats on that, especially in years like 23 and 24. So you're crushing on that front, which means you have pre-quals, you have pre-approvals, you have loans being underwritten where the file was suspended. You're like, WTF, it should not be suspended. That document was in the file. Like you're dealing with all the things that an LO has to deal with while also traveling the country.
And making content. So he's like a trooper. Content. He really is a trooper. Because there'll be nights I'm like, now I have to make content. And he's like, it's 8:00 at night. And I'm like, I know, but I didn't film yesterday when I was supposed to. And now I got to get the lights out because it's too dark and I don't have the sunlight. So he really is. Yeah.
So why TikTok? Like, how did this come about?
So funny enough, I had TikTok, not that I used it very often, but I had it. And back then, because this was October of 21, I, like most people, had Facebook and Instagram for many years, and that was primarily where I got my fix of social media. And I was like, okay, I really, really need to focus on making video content, and there's either YouTube or TikTok. And at the time, I was like, TikTok is very much like we're just dancing around. And I still think to this day, especially when I talk to people, they're like, it's just dancing videos. And
it wasn't
really
even called
not.
TikTok, was it?
No, it was.
Originally it was.
When I started.
When you started, yes.
It was TikTok.
Do you remember what it was called before TikTok?
I don't.
God, my kids are going to make fun of me if they ever tune into this episode, which thank God they don't tune into that many anymore. Yeah. But yes, because I remember my children having whatever the app was that later became TikTok. So nonetheless, I digress. So you chose TikTok because
nobody knew me on there. And I was like, if I fail, it's okay. Because there'll be like 10 people that are probably robots that are following me. We'll see it. And it's fine. And I was so scared to make video, which I had made content before, but not like this true, authentic, I'm going to be funny and silly, like.
And that's you naturally?
Yeah, and that's me. But I was like, I don't know if it's going to work. So I'm just going to go on TikTok because that feels a little less scary than YouTube. YouTube's been around forever. I feel like maybe I need the lights and the special cameras and all of these things. So I'm just going to go on TikTok. And
what year was this?
This was October of 21.
Okay. So not that long ago.
No, not that long ago.
We're talking less than 3 years ago. Right? If I do my math correctly. We're in 2024 right now. We're recording this in April. Yeah. So you're coming up on your 3-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, you're like, I'm going to go into TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I'm too scared to do YouTube and I'm not going to put it on Instagram.
Because at the time, the reels weren't like, they weren't the level that they are now.
Yes. Like right now for someone who has a YouTube channel, it's interesting. I never would have thought I had a YouTube channel. I just would have thought I hosted my podcast on YouTube. But we now legit have a YouTube channel, like wink, wink, nod, nod, check it out. It's pretty awesome. And it's the channel's now called just TLOP, TLOP. That's the brand that brings us the podcast. But yes, even when we started, what were YouTube shorts?
Right.
Now today, I watch our subs jump up by 100 a day, all because we had a particular short that did well. Not because people knew we have a podcast or they watched one of our 6-minute videos. So at the time, you're like, yeah, YouTube Shorts weren't really what they are today. And quite honestly, YouTube was a little bit too scary, so you did TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you look back? I think I know the answer. At least I hope I know the answer. Do you look back at those first 15, 20, or 25 TikToks that you made, and do you cringe?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. I actually really cringe because I did do YouTube, but I did 2 videos, and it was like from this, I don't even know what it was, but it was this company that we got, we like hired and they gave scripts, and I had like a teleprompter app on my phone. And so you could see me and it was like, hi, my name is Jordan. I'm alone. And I'm like, what? Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. No.
Little stiff, little stale.
Yeah. So I ended up, those are no longer there, but I realized that I was like, I don't feel like YouTube's like really professional, and I need to like just kind of ease into this, to where I had to, my then assistant, her daughter was like 9. I was like, okay, you see the text came up and then it went away. How do they do that? She's like, you press this button and then you type it in and then you press this button. And I'm like,
the 9-year-old. That's
cool.
Fantastic.
Cool. So that's how I learned TikTok, was from a 9-year-old.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. How long does it take you today to do one of your TikToks on average?
Right. So on average, between filming and editing, I would say anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes.
Perfect. How long did it take you 2.5 years ago?
At minimum, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, but still 20 to 30 minutes. Like 20 to 30 minutes.
Right.
We all have this. Where's the camera I need to look into for this one, John? We all have 20 to 30 minutes.
Right.
It's just a matter of, are you going to prioritize it?
Right.
But I'm of the belief, like the modern mortgage loan originator, and let's just say the modern sales professional, because this could be commercial realtor, this could be residential realtor, life insurance sales, like even the people that I buy like my custom made suits from, like they are hardcore sales professionals.
Yeah.
And every single one of us, if we're not making video content, I literally think that we are losing opportunity to make sure that we're advancing in our career and that we're doing everything we need to do to stay on top of our game. Because I think if we're not doing it, we're going to allow someone else, the next Jordan Nutter, to come in and start taking market share from us because that's the way consumers consume in today's day and age.
Yeah.
In general. So when I'm happy to hear is 25 to 30 minutes, twofold. One, because you've cut that time in half or sometimes by 80%, but also it wasn't such a big number that's like a barrier for entry.
Right.
Next question would be this. At what point did you feel like it was working? At what point did you feel like you were getting quote unquote good? Like how long did that take you? Did you get really lucky coming out of the gates and something just went viral right away? Or did it take you 2, 3, 6 months to get there?
So it's weird. So I was making content and I was like, okay, I'll make a video and then maybe got a couple hundred views. And I was like, okay, this is great. I'll make another one. And then I did what my platform is known for outside of the education piece is my skits, where I'm reenact these wonderful conversations we have with borrowers who like to spend their money before closing and buy cars and things and all that good stuff. So I reenacted a video. Now at the time, I wasn't playing both characters. I only had my headphones in, so people thought that I was actually on the phone.
Okay.
But I wasn't.
Yes.
Because I had to change everybody's name and the numbers and all that
Protect
stuff.
the innocent, all of that good stuff.
Right. So at the time, I just had my headphone in, or I pretend to be on the phone, and it's like, this is the thing. Now, I made my first one of that, and overnight, it got 1 million views, and I got 30,000 followers. And I was freaking out. Like, wow. I woke up, I was crying. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And weirdly enough, the next day, 2 days later, I was going to an event in Atlanta, and Glenda Baker was there, which Glenda Baker, she like coins herself as the most recognized voice in real estate. And she at the time, now she was big. Now she's much bigger, but I was like, I need to speak to this woman. Like, I need to know what to do. And she was so sweet, and I got to talk to her about it. But that was like the video that pushed me to know, like, now we have to do something with this.
Yeah,
we can't
you're
just stop.
I'm on to something now.
Right. But the time that it felt like I actually was doing the right thing by making content was when I had a borrower call me from TikTok, and it was the first person I had call me, and he was this guy out in somewhere in Indiana, and it was a very small loan. He was buying the house from his dad and said, hey, we'll just call it one of the big names in the lending. They really screwed me over, and they've ghosted me. They said that I don't qualify, and they won't tell me why, and I need to close on this home. Will you please help me? I found you on TikTok. I know you're so busy, but I really need your help. Like, you're the only one I trust. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Damn.
Okay. I was like, sure, of course. And he's like, I know it's not a big loan. I'm like, that doesn't matter to me. Like, if you need help, I'm here to help you. And we closed him in like 3.5 weeks. And that was at that point when we closed it, and he was like, you completely changed my life. I was like, we have to fully go into this now. Like, I have to help more people.
So if you were to guesstimate, how many videos did you make? We'll call them TikToks. Like today, I call a lot of things reels because I'm so Instagram heavy. Or, shorts because I'm YouTube heavy. So whenever I'm talking about TikTok, I call them the TikToks.
The TikToks.
Because like my platform, we have TikToks. I was telling you this, but it's like a placeholder. Like we're waiting to where we can have the resources to have our own Jordan Nutter type content. But I'm curious, I probably have 2 or 3 like rapid fire questions around this. And I promise I do want to move on to some of your other passions that you're currently championing through your travels. But how many TikToks did you make before you think you had the idea or the epiphany? You know what? Let me do a role-playing skit.
I probably only made like 5-ish videos.
So you made your 5 like normal, hey, here's a rule of thumb.
Right.
When you're looking to purchase a house, your maximum sales price shouldn't be more than 2.5 to 3.5% of your annual income, right? Like you were doing those types of rules of thumb. And then eventually you're like, wait a minute, what's trending on TikTok?
No.
You didn't even like look at what was in terms of
I did it so wrong back then. Like what I teach people, like I have like a whole
course. And we're going to talk
about it, but
we're going to talk about your courses, and we are going to talk about how people can get a hold of you so that you can come and teach one of your various courses.
And so I didn't do I think I searched like mortgage.
Okay.
And people were doing like what I was doing. But then what happened was this story that the borrowers that the story is about, I had been told they were trying to buy $1 million home. I'm like, okay. And this was from one of my like very seasoned realtors. And she's like, I got it through whatever, Zillow, Redfin. But they're like very adamant they want to see this home tomorrow, but I need a letter. Try to get them on Friday night. And they're like, no, we're working late. We'll call you tomorrow. And then they won't answer me. So then I go shopping. And then in the middle of my day, they're like, oh, we need to talk to you right now. And then it ended up being they both collectively, as a couple, made $20 an hour and had no assets. And they wanted to buy $1 million home.
Yeah, just
they had a little bit of assets.
If you don't do what we do for a living, that just doesn't happen.
To where like she was telling me that I was wrong. She was telling me that I pulled the credit score I was giving her was wrong, that I was wrong, that she didn't qualify. And I was like, your income at a gross level, which is obviously not what we take home if you're W-2, doesn't even cover the property taxes, the homeowner's insurance, and the mortgage insurance, and the HOA, because there was a very hefty HOA, let alone the like the loan that I want.
The actual principal and interest that you're going to have to pay back. Yeah.
But I was wrong. So that got me really fired up. And I was like, what do you mean? And blah, blah, blah. So like that was like a Saturday. And on Monday I went into work and I was like still livid because somebody asked me about it. And I was like, I'm just going to make this video, but I'm going to change everything. And that was the video that did it.
I love it. I mean, I've lived it, right? Our passions, the things that sometimes piss us off, it does create some of the best ideas because there's a pain there. There's a pain that you're trying to solve. You had a personal pain. People wasted your time. People frustrated you. They second guessed your professionalism. And you're like, okay, I need a way to unleash and vent. You found your creative outlet, but then you found something that was entertaining and educational.
Right.
And you're like, bam. And then it hits. I used to write a lot. Like I love to write. In my perfect world, if I wasn't like a history teacher or an economics teacher in high school who also coached football and baseball, I would probably be a copywriter. But the reason why I didn't go into the advertising industry is because head copywriters make a lot of money. Everyone else makes no money for their first 20 years in their career. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like I'm out.
Right.
Like teach me how to sell. I'll go sell advertising. But that's what I did before I sold mortgages. But like I do love to write. Pre-TikTok, I used to write this series called Wilma and Willie Waterstone. In Wilma and Willie, like Waterstone's the company that I've represented for the past 15 years on the mortgage side. And I would send it to my list of like 500 realtors who are in my database. And all it was a lesson from a transaction that we had recently closed. And I found that I could entertain realtors and educate them while also remind them like, hey, I'm in LO. Hey, I want your referrals. And I wanted to do something in a creative way. And Wilma and Willie was my way of doing it. And the lady's name is Katie Lambert. Katie, shout out to Katie. I had called on Katie, and I'm sharing the story for the loan officers who tune in or any other sales professional who tunes in. It took Wilma and Willie to get Katie to call me. She had been on my list for 10 years. A decade I'd been marketing to this real estate professional in my market.
Yeah.
And I'd met her my first year in the business. We didn't do any business together, but she stayed in my database and she loved Wilma and Willie. And I heard from her when I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it. She goes, oh, what happened to Wilma and Willie? She's like, I used to look forward to that. That was my Friday morning read. So it's just like whether you're TikToking like Jordan or whether you want to like sit down in front of your keyboard and write, there's something to be said about storytelling to get our point across to be educational but also entertaining. So yours was frustration.
Yeah.
And early on, video or TikTok 6 or 7, you just went into it. But I think what I was trying to ask you was, but were others outside of the mortgage space, were they having success with their videos by doing skits? Or if they were, you didn't know about it because you were truly that naive?
No, there were some that I would like on the For You page that I saw like skits. I'm trying to think. It was like a restaurant scenario.
Yeah.
People sitting down and being rude. And I'm trying to think if there was another one. But I think I saw like a few different skits, but they were very much like using 2 people, like how I do it now. They weren't like reenacting a phone call from the ones that I saw. Now I see customer service agents, and there's one, she's really funny. She was in the car dealer. Worked for a car dealership.
Okay.
Another one who does life insurance and car insurance and like all the stories that I'm like, I understand because you work in the service industry.
So once your first skit hit, did that become like your shtick, your niche? Like you're like, okay, I have to do a skit a day, or was it a skit a week?
It was like a week, I think. Every week.
And were you only doing one TikTok a week, or were you sliding in some other ones that weren't skits?
Yeah, I definitely was consistently like on it making, because I was like, now I got 30,000 followers. I have to keep rolling with this. So I would do a skit probably once a week, and it was normally just like a 1-part series, whereas now I'll try to make them like multiple parts.
Like with a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
Like so I have to come back
Yeah.
if I want to hear the second part of the story. Okay.
Yeah, so
Creative.
like now I'm currently working on one where I think it's like 4 or 5 parts, which it's interesting because I want to do everything in one, but then I can't use it on other platforms because it's only so much time. And so trying to make it into a series is my new frustration that I'm dealing with. But
Okay. Are you posting once a day? And then how many times do you post I call it work related? Because if I look at you, the content creator, I'm like, okay, yes, she's a mortgage loan originator. Like right now, I would guess that's the bulk of your income. Although with 260,000 TikTok followers and the millions of views that you get, I would assume you're monetizing based on views.
On TikTok, I monetize.
Okay.
And then if like I have a brand that wants to do something with me or...
Oh, yeah. You've had those opportunities as well. Oh, very cool.
Yeah. It doesn't happen all that often because like we're in the finance. So it's like, who's reaching out to you? Because I'll get like the random, here's this like cooking set. I'm like, but I don't, like you don't see any cooking content. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I would guess that you closing one mortgage pays better than TikTok paying you for your views. Or once you get
my average, so like my average loan amount pays me about what TikTok does a month.
Cool. Yeah, that doesn't suck then.
Yeah.
Like you're.
So I'm like, if I can generate enough to cover like my assistant, and like my business expenses, then I'm happy. Okay.
No, that's awesome. But no, I was going to ask you about your cadence because I've noticed the more I've followed you and started admiring you from afar, it was. And I get drawn in. I'm a dude, right? Like the one time I've ever worn makeup, I had a lot of alcohol in me, or I was letting my daughter put makeup on me because it was a cool thing to do when she was 4 and, we were hanging out on a Sunday. But I think I one day watched you in your RV put makeup on. And it wasn't that I was watching you put makeup on, it was your delivery. It was, hey, a day in the life of Jordan. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. The baby's crying. My husband's fixing something that broke.
Yep.
And I'm late for this webinar that I have to hop on, and I don't even have whatever you're doing with your makeup.
Right.
So when you're doing your cadence, do you have that scripted out as well? Where you're like, okay, I'm going to do 1 skit, I'm going to do 2 or 3 professional posts, and then I'm going to do 2 or 3 day in the life of, or is it truly, I say willy-nilly, but just kind of whatever I feel like doing today, I feel like doing today? Kind of.
So it depends. So normally I will batch everything, because I just don't have the time to film every day. I would love to. I just don't.
No, I love that. That shows intentionality.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have to definitely batch my content now.
Do you then schedule it for release? Or do you just batch it and then you choose that day what you want to do?
Yeah, pretty much. So if there's something that's newsworthy, then I have to film it that day. And or maybe the next day, and I have to get ready and do all of that. Now, normally I will batch. So throughout the week, I have a notebook, and then I have obviously my phone. So the notebook goes into like the Mr. Smith call, and I know that crazy conversation I have, or if I have to make a video for a company or a trip that I'm doing or an event, like I put all of those down. And then on my phone, because we have all the bookmarks, I should say, I will bookmark anything that's relevant to me that makes sense to possibly talk about. And I have a mortgage folder on Instagram and TikTok, all of them. And I bookmark it and I put it into the folder. So then on, let's say Sundays when I normally film, I'll pull out my notebook in there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this skit and I'll do this topic and so on and so forth.
Awesome. So just for clarity and full disclosure, and then we'll probably move on to the rest of the Q&A that I want to get into, because already you and I could hang out for like 3 hours and probably do like a Joe Rogan-esque podcast episode, but I've learned our audience really loves it when they're between like 25 and 45 minutes.
Okay.
And they probably prefer like 25 to 35, but you know what? It's my show, so I get to call the shots.
I like it.
But no, I want people to understand, I think I know this answer. Correct me if I'm wrong. You are the writer. You are the talent, meaning like it's your face, it's your voice, it's your likeness.
Yeah.
You are the editor. Mm-hmm. You are the sound engineer and the lighting engineer.
When you put it that way.
Yes, right?
Like, that's true. I don't send off my videos to edit.
Yeah, so,
I would that's like where it takes the time is editing, because I have my characters and I'm like cutting this and cutting that.
Every Russian, Belarusian, and Ukrainian kid is going to be reaching out to you the way they do us. Yeah. And they're going to be offering the services for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, until they give you one and then they're like, oh, now you have to pay me.
Yeah.
But no, I want people to hear that from you, because it's like, yes, you can. Like I once did this thing called the 75 Hard Challenge, and that's not for this. Oh, you've done it too. Yeah, so
love 75.
The first time I did, I've done it 3 times.
Oh, I'm so envious.
Well, hold on. The third time, my best friend Joey and I just called it 75 Annoying. Joey's who turned me onto it, and it was his third time. It was my third time. He actually quit on like day 72 because he's like, "This is bullshit. I'm done." I finished it, but yeah, it just got to be where it was annoying. So the first time I did 75 Hard, which by the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, go to our YouTube channel and just type in the search bar of the channel 75 Hard, and I did a whole entire episode on my experience.
Did you?
But here's what it taught me. Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah. That's what I learned. Like, yes, I lost a ton of weight. I had the most clarity I've ever had from a thought standpoint, a creativity standpoint. But it really taught me in life, yes, you can. I asked you the question about you being the sound engineer, the lighting engineer, the talent, the writer. It's because anyone who's tuned in like, oh, well, I could never do that. I'm like, no, yes, you can. Like, yes, you can do this. It's a matter of choice. Are you going to choose to do it? Now, you might not have my voice. You might not have Jordan's good looks. Like, there might be certain aspects that you don't have, but you can overcome that with editing.
Right.
You can overcome that with having guests on. Like, there's certain things that you can do to overcome it. Or you have to realize that you don't need to be Jordan, or you don't have to be me. You have to be you. And be the best version of you, because that's what people like. That's what people listen to. That's what people follow. And the right people will be attracted to you.
100%.
And do you want to add anything to that? Because I'm going to get into the right people, because I had a great question for you earlier, but I want to let you add on to.
Yeah. So the one thing that I always tell people when I'm speaking to agents that are trying to build their brand, above anything else, it's being authentic.
Yes.
Like, you have to be authentic, because if you're not, there's no point of putting it out there.
Yeah. I, like you, travel the country and get to speak. And most times when Jordan and I speak, like, I'm a guess this is true with you, because you use the word free with me. Yeah, I speak for free. Yeah. Like, now for free, I'm like, look, you have to pay for my hotel and my flight.
Yeah.
And I do like to go out for nice dinners. And when I go out to a nice dinner, I'm probably going to order a Hendrix Martini. But other than that, like, I love what I do. I love giving back. I love shaping the future of the mortgage industry, and I love paying it forward, so to speak. But crap, We're talking about, what'd you just say? I totally had
Being
a brain
authentic.
fart. Being authentic. Yes. So in presentations, the one thing that I'll tell people like, oh, I could never do video, or I hate how I sound, or I hate how I look. I'm like, look, that is how you look. That is how you sound. We love you for it. And by the way, you're not making the video for you. Yeah. So don't watch it if you don't like it. Actually, you should watch it so you can critique it and find ways for improvement. But other than that, like, that's how you look. That's how you sound. People love you for it.
Yeah.
And you're not making the video for you. This is something I want to share with the audience. I know the answer. You and I chatted about it offline, but it was a chance for Dustin to say, hey, I was wrong. I was wrong. I've been saying all along, hey, look, TikTok, it's all well and good, but who knows? The government might shut it down. It's embracing communist China. It's for 14 to 24-year-olds, and the average first-time home buyer used to be 33. Today, it's currently 36. And I'm like, Jordan, you must be kissing a lot of frogs to get to your prince in terms of you're generating 100 leads. And, you know, I can only imagine that your lead conversion, when compared to other consumer direct lead conversion, must be worse. And you shared with me
that my average, which I really love that TikTok does this, my average viewer sits generally between 24 and 44.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have clients, like I closed a client who was 60 that found me on TikTok. So it is quite interesting because when you put your content out there, it gets catered to the audience that needs to see it.
Yeah.
And so your community builds itself for you, which is really nice. So if you put the content out there and you make it and it's authentic to you and you're consistent with it and you're not like, oh, I'm going to do that. Like you're not going all into left field until when you get like a lot of followers, then it's different. You can kind of do whatever you want or test different things. But if you're trying to build a brand and you want to be known for something, you have to be consistent with it and authentic in yourself. So that community just builds itself for you, which is really nice.
Yeah, the right people. This is what I learned. I was today years old when I learned this. The right people will find me based on the content that I'm creating, which now I know Nikki and Mark and JC and Sook the intern already are like, oh, Jesus, here he goes again. Because now I'm going to jump back on. I've hopped on the TikTok bandwagon at least 6 times in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And every time I allow my team to shoot me down, well, now they can't shoot me down. Now TLOP's going to find a way to embrace it. Right now it's a placeholder. No, we're going to embrace it. We're going to follow your lead and we're going to embrace it.
I'm telling you, just put me on I'm going to be the reason. Just put me on a Zoom call. We'll be like, oh, we're going to do a team meeting today. And then you just throw me in. And then it's like, so we're going to have Jordan today.
You spoke this.
Yeah.
You put into the ether, into the universe. No, we do something for our TLOP followers, right? These are the people who get our newsletter. These are the people who, whether they listen to us on Spotify or Apple or they tune into the YouTube channel, like you're a TLOPer. And there's 30, 40,000 of them out there.
Yeah.
Once a month, we do an exclusive webinar where I bring in one of my friends from the outside to speak and present. Is that something that's
I'm open to it?
That's right up another home loan?
Yep.
Yes?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we'll have to talk about that, doing it probably after the summertime. Right now, we are really going to be helping promote Mastermind Summit, which is, by the way, a badass LO-focused sales conference in Las Vegas in June.
Yeah.
That if you want a discount, like there's a TLOP discount code, but we're going to be there. We're going to be speaking.
Nice.
And so leading up to the event, we're probably going to be doing some webinars with some of the other speakers that are speaking at that event. Cool. So that those speakers can talk about their product, their service, bring value to the TLOP community, but also so we can help promote the event. So it ends up being what I think it's going to be, the #1 sales event for mortgage loan originators in 2024.
Nice.
That said, as soon as we get past June and we get into July, maybe by the time you get back to Atlanta and you're like grounded again, then I would love to have you come on and do a TLOP exclusive where you can do one of your more sought after presentations or webinars.
Yeah.
You good with that?
I would love that.
All right, let's talk about this. What type of presentations or webinars? Like you're traveling the country. We started this episode 30 plus minutes ago talking about a week in Dallas, a week in Austin. You've been in Florida now for going on 2 weeks, and you speak in person, but you also do webinars. and you're kind of the full gambit, right? You're talking to high schoolers, you're talking to realtors, you're talking to mortgage loan originators.
Yep.
Walk us through that.
So the goal for this trip was really to bring financial literacy to communities in need. Hence why First Home IQ plays a big part in this, and that's really their mission. Now, they focus primarily on like that next generation home buyer, which technically can be really anybody. It's not like restricted to an age, but they have a lot of criteria for like high schoolers and college, so that younger age demographic. But I really just wanted to bring it to communities in need, whoever that was, whatever age, it didn't matter to me. So speaking on financial literacy, and it's broken down essentially into two, whether they are a potential first-time home buyer and they want to learn the basics, whether it's a couple months from now or a couple years from now, hey, this is where I need to be, and these are the basics to make that happen down the road. Or we work towards, or I should say we work with the younger group where, hey, we're not looking to buy anytime soon, so don't even try to like put that out there. But I didn't grow up in a household that had the basics of finance, so I don't know how a credit card works and what a statement date is and a due date, and my FICO score 8 is different than my mortgage FICO scores, and there's Vantage, like just the basics of how can I be a young adult and not completely screw up my credit score. So that's kind of the two ways when it comes to the consumer.
So when you go into a market, these are the types of presentations that either someone's booking for you or you're trying to book for yourself.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And then for the realtor, the loan officers I've spoken to, that's really building your brand and your community, and how can I better educate them? What am I passionate about? What do I specialize in? Like, what can I do to help my community better understand VA loans or 203K or buying investment properties and growing a portfolio so I can get out of the lower middle class and I want to be in the upper middle class? Like, what can I do? So that's, I educate the realtors and loan officers so they can continue to educate their communities.
Yeah, the goal is to teach them what's working for you so that they can swipe and adapt, learn from your successes, maybe even learn from some of your failures. You can shorten the learning curve. And, you know, I teach this because I learned it from people like Kyle Draper. And I love the way Kyle puts it. It's like, you don't have to be Jordan Nutter. Don't get me wrong. People would love to have that type of following, but you don't have to necessarily do that to be impactful and effective. Right? You could have 10% of Jordan's following. You could have 1% of Jordan's following. If that 1% is your target audience, if that's the community you serve,
right?
I mean, we're still talking about 2,600 people that you get to touch every single day with video content. Those 2,600 people, think about this. If 1 out of 10 purchased your product or your service on an annual basis, that's 260 transactions. Most people I know would give a left toe for 260 mortgage transactions.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a realtor may give a left toe and a right pinky for 260 real estate transactions.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not so daunting. They're like, yeah, but I'm not going to be TikTok famous. Cool. You're probably not going to be.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you don't need to be on the platform, or they don't need to be on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is that you're doing, creating video content, because those 2,600 people, they rely on you.
Right.
They're looking up to you. In fact, I'm going to put it out there. You're letting them down. If you're not doing this, you're letting them down, let alone letting yourself down, letting your children down, your family down, your parents down. Like, y'all, we need to do this. And now I'm super stoked to have you come on as a TLOP exclusive. So let's do this, because I have to find a way to put a bow on it. Anything that we didn't touch on that you're like, oh, shit, Dustin, I was really hoping we were going to touch on X, Y, or Z. Besides, you're supposed to give a shout out to Greg. Greg Share, shout out to Greg. Amazing dude.
Yes.
He's someone that I know, but I don't know.
Really?
Oh, I know him because we follow each other on LinkedIn. We're constantly commenting. He and I were one of 37 co-authors for that book, Rethink Everything. Yes. So I'm hoping Greg and I are going to hang out. Oh, here's another shout out. At The Gathering, which is Housing Wire's huge event of the year. That event's this month. It's in April. I think they still have tickets for sale, by the way. So if anyone's looking to go to like the who's who of mortgage and real estate event, We're going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's going to be third week of April. All of this information, it's on our website. So tloponline.com. If you go there, anything that I mentioned, whether it's newsletter, LO coaching, events, speaking engagements, it's all there. But yeah, so Greg and I are going to meet for the first time. And I'm pretty sure you were supposed to give a shout out to Greg.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Greg,
we did it.
Yeah. Greg's great. I love Greg. Like he is the reason like why I was able to continue with my career and like really hone in on how to figure out the leads that were coming into.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, let's talk about this. I won't have time to talk about it, but I just want to mention it because I didn't mention it. Remind the audience, when did you become a licensed mortgage loan originator?
So I got my license officially in November of 2019. And then I started on socials, like really for video on socials, because I did have it before, October of 21.
Yeah, but 4 years.
Yeah.
You've been an LO for 4 years. 2 of the years are 2 of the toughest we've seen in my 20-year career.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I mentioned that because there's somebody who is sitting home like, oh, I couldn't do that because, I just don't have the knowledge base. I'm like, no, you do have the knowledge base, right? Because Jordan's been in this industry for 4 years and you were in the industry for roughly 2. And that's when you really started going all in on video marketing.
Yeah.
Right. So like you don't have to wait. You don't have to be a certain type of seasoned professional.
Right.
All right. So we gave the shout out to Greg. We reminded the audience that for the most part, you launched your mortgage career just 4 years ago.
Right.
Anything else we didn't touch on?
I think the only thing would be just if you have a community in need that is looking for financial literacy. I donate my time. It is 100% free. I do not charge for it. The website, my website has all of they're a little bit like we can adjust it a little bit and they're not set in stone. Like I can always travel out a little bit. But if you are a community in need, a church, a nonprofit, and you would love for me to come and speak to your congregation or community or whoever it is, I would love the opportunity to. So you can go onto the website and see if I'm going to be anywhere in the area. And if so, you can reach out.
And that's still mobilemortgagemom.com.
Yep.
All right, perfect. What if I'm a mortgage company?
Yeah.
And I want you to come in and teach my loan officers how to be more like you. Are you open to that?
Yeah.
Cool. Same thing, same website?
Yep. Same website. They can go on there. There's like a form you can fill out. And then like for instance, I'm partnered on a company. It's called Leverage Social. So we speak primarily to loan officers and real estate agents.
Okay.
And it's a whole like course on the basics. Like it's a deep dive as you were like, oh, we could sit here for hours. I'm like, that's why I could sit for my classes that I teach for hours and hours. And that's why we had to do like a whole like 12-week course for it. Cause it's a lot. It can be a lot because there's so many questions and it's like, let's break it down. We're not recreating the wheel and learn from my mistakes. Like I didn't do the research and I got really lucky. I really did. But then I had to do the research and figure out how to take on this monster of social media. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those iron sharpens iron. I mean, if I wanted to become a better triathlete, I joined a tri club. And sure enough, wow, I found my community. We all talk the same language. We have the same interest, and I'm getting faster and stronger.
Nice.
If you want to get faster and stronger creating video content, you should probably look at joining some kind of a community.
Right.
And that community's name is what again?
Leverage Socials.
Leverage Socials. Yep. Yeah. And if you're a mortgage loan originator just trying to figure out like, hey, how do I become less of a mess or how do I become the next top producer? Like that's when I invite people. Like, look, we have a coaching community. You can come be a part of it. Like our job is to take the guesswork out. That's it. Take the guesswork out. Let me put you in front of this top producer. Let me put you in front of this top producer. Let them teach you what they did to get to where they are, and let them teach you what they're doing today to stay on top. I just had to make sure that my faculty was male and female, West Coast, East Coast, broker, banker. Some of them 4 years in the industry.
Yeah.
Some of them 24 years in the business. So that way we don't have what I call academic inbreeding. So I love what you're willing to do, for the communities and the financial literacy, like that is first home IQ stuff.
Right.
But even what you're able to do for loan officers in the real estate community, like y'all, the reason why Jordan was on because I've admired her from afar. Now I've got to leverage my podcast to create a new friendship in hopes that we stay friends in the industry for the next decade plus. But more importantly, I wanted you all to meet her. I wanted you all to understand who this person is, what she can offer you or how you can be more like her. Her handle and I love this, a Nutter Home Loan, Nutter, right? Last name Nutter, haha. So at a Nutter Home Loan. She's Jordan Nutter. I'm Dustin Owen. You've just recently tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.